to go into answering your specific question on the training developed for vulnerable women, and there are quite a number of things that you need to consider. So I have been a trainer designing the training program, and I've been trying to make sure that I design the training that helps women and youth get into the online opportunity. So the training program is broken down into 5 levels that I want to make sure I highlight some of these. So the first part of the training, and making sure that you do the first one is screening of participants from any part of the world. You'd want to make sure you understand your participants and audiences as you design this training program or curriculum for them. Then the second part and aspect of it is to design a curriculum based on your findings in terms of trying to understand who are your participants. Then there's a training delivery agency model and the co-shared space and mentorship. I will go into those in details next. So first, to look at screening of participants. There are things that you'd want to understand, or importantly to ascertain from your participants, trying to understand their highest education level, the level of digital literacy, what kind of skills, digital skills, are they, what, the difference between digital literacy and digital skills. You'll be able to understand what they are able to do, and they are able to use computers and are able to use them for communication, delivering work, and probably also. Then you'd also want to understand where they live, and you want to know what is their setup, what kind of they have connection, do they have the security, trying to understand where they live. And lastly, trying to make sure if they have computerized gadget and internet. The other thing that you need to do as you design a curriculum is to understand the kind of skills. Once you've done your research and you've done the feasibility, the need analysis of your participants, you would want to develop an upskilling course. An upskilling course would be, you can imagine someone who's in a refugee camp, what kind of digital literacy skills they have or digital skills they have. You might realize they have none. So what you need to do is the first phase of this is to upskill them, know how to use computers, probably to type, to write, to communicate, any kind of digital skills on using computers. Then the next part is to make sure they have a skill, a bit of things like data entry, image annotation, basic transcription. You want to lead generation. So some are basic web research, and those are some of the skills that you then do the upskilling, because you cannot take someone from a refugee camp to a digital work marketplace and expect them to succeed. So first of the things you need to make sure is upskill them with a skill. Then the next part is make sure they are able to then now the next part of deciding the project, the curriculum is the course itself. So you're teaching them to learning how they already have the skills, so they need to know where to find jobs. So connecting them with available opportunities is all lot of lessons that they need to learn. Like the lessons that they need to learn in freelancing or gig economy is what is online work, where do they find online work, the categories of online jobs, because they're classified into different categories based on the skills and softwares required. So we want to make sure they are able to know which skills they have, they fall under which categories under online jobs. We also want to make sure they understand on how to stay safe online. 2 things on that. So for them to know how to avoid scam jobs and know how to beat scam, and their fake jobs and apparently on legitimate online work platforms. So we want to make sure they understand that and how to beat scam. Then the other thing we would want to also make sure they know how to get paid. I've just had panelists talking about payment methods, and they've just given an example of PayPal. PayPal is an example, but you'd want to make sure when you're designing a program for these women, you'd want to make sure you bring a list of all platforms. So I've done a bit of research under different geographies to understand if I'm training someone in Jordan, in India, probably Kenya, or anyone else, I would want to make sure I do research to understand what platforms or payment methods that are available in that specific country, so that when you're teaching them on that, you're letting them know what works. I remember there was an option we had in Dadaab when we designed a training program, and we were trying to find ways of getting refugees get paid while completing jobs, and it was a bit challenging because one, some would not, they would not have had bank accounts because they are refugees. They do not have identification documents to open a bank account. So what we did was there was an option of creating an option of paying them via voucher, food voucher, and that was an option then. But we had a solution to that because we then created an agency which made it easier for the agency to manage payments and then get paid freelancers because the admins who run the agency were able to get money in Kenya shillings and probably or forever and get pay the freelancers. So we want to make sure that as we teach, you develop a curriculum, they're able to learn what payment methods they're able to use. Then the other part is creating profiles. There is a way you need to be successful in online work platforms is to create your profile. Now there's a way you create it so that it's compelling, it's 100% complete. Realize sometimes you don't have to bid for projects. Sometimes clients are browsing freelancers and they'll be able to stumble upon your profile if they create it in a way that is expected. So in our designing, in the designing, make sure they create the profiles, and then the next one is to learn how to search for work and analyze a job and the bidding process. What do you need to bid? How do you write a proposal? How do you analyze a job? How do you look at the elements of a job? Look at the client history, look at the required skills, look at the required education, look at the number of hours, look at the contract type, look at the rates on a specific job. So trying to make sure that freelancer or whoever you're training is able to understand that. Then lastly, you're giving a bit of introduction to project management, the ability to manage project, client communication, client expectation, scoping, the other part. There are times in life where I've been a freelancer where you get a client and he's asking you, Henry, how much do you think you want to charge for this project? And it takes a skill to understand how much you are going to quote for a project. What are some of the things that you consider before determining a rate for a specific project? So those are some of things that you consider when designing a program. And then we go to the next one, where how we then get to deliver the training, or how I've been delivering the training. So delivering it in several ways. Training, so I've create content in an LMS, so which means they're available online. Students are able to access it remotely, and you are able to train them in person. And then mostly, if you're there was a time we were doing a training in Jordan, and what we would do was conduct a TOT on a local community trainers, where then you get to train them remotely. Then they will be able to deliver the training remotely on their own. Then this training is once you have it on an LMS, it's either delivered in person. We can go train a classroom, or they are able to learn on the lesson using the phone, their smartphones, or their computer. And then there's the part of also delivery. The training is we do a bit of data tracking in trying to understand our our participants. At the beginning of the training, we have pre-survey, and after the training, we have post-training surveys in trying to understand if the expectation of the training are met or not, were not met. And then after the training, there's also this other aspect that we introduced. Then I introduced on working on an agency model. Agency model, we train agency admins who will help in managing the agency. We create the agencies where then we had our graduates into the agencies. Then we onboard graduates from a training program into the agency. Then what the agency admin will be able to do is find jobs, in-source jobs. We do project sourcing and a bit of project management in getting jobs for the freelancers. Probably you'd imagine someone in Kakuma, you'd imagine someone in the slums in Nairobi, how they're going to build up the relationship with clients from probably US or Canada. The agency with admins are able to easily connect with those clients, get jobs, and assign jobs to the graduates or the freelancers from the agency. And what it happens is you're able to manage the quality and the delivery times and managing a team delivering work. And then there was this other, the last part of designing the training program is the co-shared space. You realize not everyone has computer, has internet, but you've trained them. They already have the skill, but they do not have computer and internet, or probably they don't even have space at home to work. They could be mothers, they have children and have issues managing their working hours. So there was this, I thought of trying to design a co-shared space where they'll then create a center installed with computers, and then what happens is during the day or during the night, freelancers who don't have these resources will always come to the center, and they could have a membership fee from their income by doing their own project, or they're being assigned project from the agency, and then they can have a space to work from. And then the last part of this is also during or within the co-shared space, there is a mentorship program where you're mentoring and helping graduates communicate with clients, scope for project, deliver project, and so forth. So has been how I have designed the training program even within Summersource, and we've designed them for some clients, during the advisories. And then this is the same model that I've been using in at the moment, trying to design a training program for the women and youth from any part of the world.
Thank you so much, Henry. It's really interesting to hear about the agency model and the 5 levels that you take the women through that offers protections in terms of some of the issues that have been raised earlier. I wonder what progression looks like, career progression for women and youth that are microtaskers. So if they do begin with that very low digital literacy, and then they, I guess, get time working with your agency, are they able to progress from the simple data entry tasks through to freelancing gigs, and what sort of time frame does that look like? What sort of income increase does that look like? What's the journey?
Great. So when they start with an entry level. Or imagine someone in a refugee camp from a slum. They might not have had, advanced education. So they will always begin with an entry level gigs, and they might be paying so low at the beginning, but at this, they move to intermediate level, and then probably advance to even, getting to be assigned or getting to pick advanced project or tasks. They then get to become, it start from entry level, intermediate, and expert. And all these levels comes to different rates. And it's also, you're able to do the first task and then move to the next one. It comes with different rates. So they probably would start with $1 an hour, $2 an hour. Then they go to intermediate. And when they become an expert, it goes to above $15 an hour. And this is an example. This is something that I've seen practically, even for the guys in refugee camps. So skills develop where they start from entry level and they advance. The other thing is also, every one of us will be able to realize that online jobs have a big advantage in skills development. You realize around, probably you started with data entry as your first project, and as you begin to work with more than one client and doing the same data entry project, you keep developing the skills on learning the better ways and shortcuts of doing the same thing. And what happens with the client you meet next after working for some clients, you get to develop your skills. And the other thing that we then teach them again is to make sure that they not really necessarily rely on our specific skill. We keep developing skill, move from one skill and learn. So you're doing writing, you're doing translation. We then get to move from writing, translation, we go to transcription. You develop all these skills because you will always have an opportunity. You will always have someone looking for a transcriber. You will always have someone looking for a writer. You will always have someone looking for someone who's going to do translation, probably Somali English translation. You'll always get someone who's going to do that. So the advantage with working online as a freelancer, as a micro worker, as a crowd worker, is that you are able to progressively learn new skills, develop skills, and keep and getting opportunities. The advantage is that you're going to get opportunities for the same. The other advantage also, as you think about it, is if you think about working in an agency, and an agency setup is that as an agency admin, you're looking for different types of jobs, and then you're exposing different types of jobs to to the agent, to the guys in the agency. What you do is there's a bit of a training where then you do specific training on a specific project. I remember when I got the first project on image annotation, I got to learn about 3D image annotation. Then I got to train some guys in an agency, guys who had never seen a computer before. They had never had machine learning, what that is. Then we are able to train them. And after some time, they're able to complete the task and deliver the task. And after them few 3-4 months, they're out of the agency. They're able to look for specific tasks under image annotation on their own, and those jobs are available on online work platforms. And then during the presentation, I kept I saw the panelists mentioning some different examples of online work platforms for the freelancing kind of setup. In my research, I've seen over 80 online work platforms that are legit, but they are classified into different categories. Probably those who offer client, where you're able to look for clients, the clients are able to look for freelancers. There are those that only it's one-sided, the client has to initiate, and probably those could be tasks for hire. And then we have the e-commerce, where freelancers are able, even the refugee camp, they are able to sell their products in a refugee camp through an e-commerce platform. That is also another model. And then there's the last model, where you have an independent freelancer who doesn't use the platform, where probably they could use their website, their blog, to then get to reach out to clients and deliver work. So this a bit of helps in making sure that the freelancers that we work with, even in any setup, will progressively move from one kind of jobs to the other, and it comes with a different, it comes with traits. The more you become, in terms of skills, experiences, the more you earn. I remember I started with $3, and at the moment, like by the time I'm speaking this, I can't take anything less than $25 an hour, and that is because I've been growing and developing skills. So that is the same way. I remember when we had the first cohort of freelancers that we trained in the Kakuma, Dadaab, they've moved from where they began, and they are currently earning a substantial amount of money.